Hello everyone. Okay, Mr. Gum and the Secret Hideout. We're on to chapter 11. It's a really long chapter. We're doing it in several instalments. Polly and the heroes have caught Mr. Gum and the wicked Billy William III in the sherry factory, poisoning the air. And they are about to fight. Mr. Gum picked up a huge rack of spare ribs and snap, yelled Mr. Gum as he got Friday in the ribs with those spare ribs. Oh yes! Shouted Billy as Polly stamped on his foot. Woof, woof, yum, said Jake as he licked up a bit of chicken liver. I do not care for the way you have abused this sherry factory, and furthermore, I find your lack of concern for the environment greatly disturbing, exclaimed old Granny as she swung her enormous, hefty black handbag from before the war straight into Mr. Gum's nose. Ah, yeah! Ah, you stupid old woman, he cried. But the damage was done, and he was teetering back towards the flaming furnace, his grotty arms pinwheeled for balance as he regained his footing. But suddenly and out of nowhere a flame shot out, and flish! His great red beard and his stovepipe hat were aflame, and as he emerged from the furnace, he uttered a yell from the very depths of his soul. He doused his head in sherry. You messed up me plans for the last time, roared Mr. Gum, and now it was as if he were possessed of a demonic strength much greater than his own, for in his fire and sherry fury the last of any goodness that might have been inside Mr. Gum's withered black heart was burnt up. He was left as more of a monster than a man, or a manster for short. He wailed. Steam shot from his ears. Roaring like a chimney, Mr. Gum picked up Polly and hoisted her into a corner as if she weighed but an ounce. Spoof! He whacked Friday across the room like a brown davy, the smallest species of insect known to man, which is smaller than 1,000th of an atom, even though it is not an actual real creature. Gonna stand grunk! He just made that sound, but it was so terrifying, and he grimaced in such a hideous fashion that old Granny fell over, and everyone saw the weird old veins in her legs. String! He snarled at Alan Taylor, but Alan Taylor was made of stronger stuff than old Granny, and he had to kick the little biscuity man the entire length of the factory floor. Then he turned to Billy. Smash! He whacked him in the face with a shovel. Ow! Ow! Shouted Billy. What'd you do that for? Oh yeah, said Mr. Gum, helping the poor butcher to his feet by spitting on him. Sorry, I've gone out of my mind with uncontrollable rage there, just for a moment. Nah, come on, he growled. Let's get shoveling again. One last barrel of meat, and that ought to do it. One last barrel of rotten, stinking meat, and Laminate Bibber slides into the sea like the ship of fools it is. The villains resumed their dark spade work, furiously stoking the furnace, until from where she lay, limp on the floor, all Polly could see was smoke, and all she could smell was meat, and all she could see was smoke. But I already told you that bit. Pay attention now. Gotcha! He can't get away with this, Polly wept. I can't let him. Desperately, she pulled herself across the factory floor. She was so tired she could hardly move, but she had to try, for she wasn't just anyone. She was Mr. Polly of the Department of Clouds and Yogurts. "Ah, hooray," said Polly weakly, as she inched towards the villains. "Hooray for all what is good and lovely in the world. Hooray for snowmen. Hooray for when you wakes up and you thinks it is school, but then you remembers it's a Saturday and there's millions of cartoons on TV and your mum lets you watch them. Hooray for that time I done went to that restaurant and you was allowed to make your own desserts and have as much ice cream as you wanted, and you could put brilliant sprinkles on top. Hooray for friends, and hooray for sticking up for each other, even if you have accidentally broken their favourite doll because you was just trying to make it fly in their back garden. You can't have bent it, but you didn't mean to. Hooray for all that, and so much more in this beautiful world. Hooray, I says. Hooray!" Mr. Gum barely heard her. He was holding a huge, grizzly cow heart, the size of his face. It was already aflame from the heat. This is it, Billy me boy," grinned Mr. Gum. "One last flaming piece of meat. One last bit of pollution. One last bit was gonna tip Laminate Bibber into the sea. Once and for all." "Yeah," cackled Billy William, who was so horrendously overexcited that he accidentally ate his shovel. Mr. Gum hoisted the cow heart above his head. He brought it towards the furnace. The sunlight blazed through the window like dragon's breath. Billy spoiled everything by doing a burp which tasted of shovel. "Chuck it on! Chuck it on! Chuck it on!" he chanted, and then, "Oh, no, you don't!" cried Polly. With one last effort, she launched herself from the floor and wrestled the flaming cow heart from Mr. Gum's grasp. "You is never going to beat the forces of good. We is always stronger. We'll never give in. You are unbearable. You're an unbelievable. You are a Rudy Lolly." "What's that mean? Anyway, shut up and give that back," yelled Mr. Gum, yanking at the burning piece of meat. "Never!" cried Polly, yanking back twice as hard. The cow's heart stretched as it was pulled first one way, then the other, first one way, then the other. Great orange flames spurted from its rubbery tubes. "It's mine!" yelled Mr. Gum through gritted teeth. "It is mine!" yelled Polly, digging her heels in. "It's mine!" said a third voice, bursting out of nowhere. "Yes, Yes, friends, it is I, Surprising Ben. I pop up here, I pop up there. Surprise, surprise, I'm everywhere. And on that cliffhanger, we leave chapter 11. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.